Greetings to you all. My name is Nqobile Jiyane. My lesson plan is on the subject of tourism for grade 11s, and the topic is transport service in South Africa, airport, airlines, and airport operation. JOZ 300 was relevant in my teaching practice in three major ways. Firstly, it equipped me as an upcoming educator with the theoretical knowledge and practical strategies needed to support an effective language and literacy development in the classroom. Secondly, it helped me to use effective communication techniques to enhance learner understanding and participation, as well as to integrate literacy and language skills into different subjects. And lastly, it helped me to support multilingual and diverse learners through inclusive language practices and to reflect critically on how language influences teaching and learning. There are certain theories and strategies of instructional communication that I used in my teaching practice. The first theory that I used is Vygotsky's social constructivism theory, and the second one is cognitive learning theory. I use Vygotsky's social constructivism theory, which emphasizes interactions and scaffolding by encouraging group discussions and peer support during learning activities. Whereas the cognitive learning theory I used as I structured my lesson to move from lower order to higher order thinking skills using the Bloom's taxonomy. Now, the strategies that I used were two very important ones. I used the feedback strategy by providing immediate constructive responses to learners' contribution, reinforcing positive behavior, and clarifying misunderstanding. I also applied the active listening and clear verbal communication strategy to ensure that instructions were understood, as well as non-verbal communications such as eye contact, facial expressions, and body gestures. Now, I had quite a few examples from my lesson plan to choose from as to which ones I would like to put in my presentations as per the theories that I used, but I chose these two. As per Vygotsky's social constructivism theory, I wrote example 1, which is where learners were divided into small groups of 3 or 4. Each group was assigned a specific topic of airports or flight operations to discuss. This is using the scaffolding method where the learners will get to work together, collaborate, and combine their thinking skills. An example 2 is two sets of questions. It goes back to the cognitive learning theory where I used the Bloom's taxonomy from using questions that are low order questions to high order question. Example 2 shows one question, which is the low order question, which is to identify and describe at least 4 main airport facilities or services that assist tourists. And now the high order question is number 2, which asks the learners to explain why each is important for travelers' satisfaction and safety. Describing the classroom as a social space can be a little bit tricky, but I wrote down 3 very important explanations of how I did that in my class. A classroom as a social space is reflected through the way I structured activities to promote interactions, collaborations, and shared meaning making among the learners. The classroom as a social space is also designed group and pair activities that encouraged the learners to discuss ideas, negotiate meaning, and learn from one another. Additionally, I created an inclusive and supportive atmosphere by using positive reinforcement, open ended questions, and respectful dialogue. Managing diversity in your classroom and fostering an inclusive environment, it's a very critical aspect that an educator needs to be aware of. How I did this in my lesson, I began by differentiating instructions to accommodate learners with varying learning styles, abilities, and language proficiencies. This included using a mix of virtual aids, oral explanations, and hands on activities to ensure all learners could access the context. I also established clear classroom rules that promote respect and discourage discrimination or exclusion in the classroom. As an educator, I strongly believe that it is important to practice what you preach. So these classroom rules were not only followed by the learner, but I, as a teacher, also kept them and followed them to maintain a respectful and positive relationship with my learners. To conclude, communication skills are essential in my future teaching practice because they enable me to explain concepts clearly, build positive relationships with learners, and create an inclusive and engaging learning environment. However, because I am going to be an educator in a country referred to as the Rainbow Nation, I anticipate challenges such as language barriers, cultural differences, and varying levels of learner participation. To overcome these, I plan to use simplified language, visual aids, and interactive activities that encourage collaboration and understanding. By remaining reflective and open to feedback, I aim to continuously improve my communication strategies to support all learners effectively. Thank you.